Todd, welcome to Houston, SDTS. Good to see you.
Great to see you too, Joe.
Yeah,
it's always nice to talk.
So far, good conference for you?
I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I think this is not only that people are back, and it's nice to see people, but I think the content's been great. Eric always puts on a great show. He really fills it with the right people and good amount of discussion, quality discussion, and new things. So I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that panel last night, that robotics panel last night. Yeah. It's getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah, it's funny that I'm on a robotics panel and the only person not building a robot, and I want every one of those companies to be great so we can go be part of them all, and they're all carriers and they're wonderful technologies, and I think at the end of the day it's all about the patient, and I think that's where every one of those companies stands. It's about the patient. So
you mentioned Active. We want that on board of all the systems we can. What's happening with Active? And for those of our viewers who might not know about Active, give them a little insight to the technology and where are you right now?
Sure. Active basically started back in 2017, became a company. Dr. Peter Kim, our founder, completed the world's first fully autonomous robotic procedure. As you know, we've patented that technology of collaborative surgery, but we're not building robots. And now we have a technology, the first technology, Active Site, that we think we've solved the last mile. And we're basically in procedures today to deliver video data and information to physicians, such as tissue perfusion and blood flow, without any use of dyes. And because of that, we can really make a difference in readmission rates and outcomes for patients where anastomotic leaks or critical structure identification, and really hopefully save some healthcare dollars. But what makes it unique is after that procedure is over, that's when the fun starts. It's when I say the last mile, it's from that procedure, data goes to the cloud, de-identified data, it's annotated, labeled, and then it's fed back anywhere around the world to any physician using an Active Site image module. And we can provide data such as true tissue viability, critical structure identification, nerve, vein versus artery, vessel identification, lymph node, sentinel node, and take data from procedures and feed it into the procedures. And we believe we'll be the only company in the world that's able to collect and deliver on the operating room table in game time. And that's what's fun about it.
So you will be able to give real-time advisement right in the middle of a procedure.
Absolutely. Joe, for those that are outside medical, I always think about the Apple Watch. No one bought an Apple Watch to tell time. So the advantage you get from wearing your watch is you can communicate with the outside world from your wrist. You get an email, a text, a phone call. That's great. By using an Active Site image module attached to an existing scope and camera, you can see blood flow and key critical structure. That's great. Now that you're wearing your Apple Watch, I can get you your EKG or your body metrics or your BMI or your heartbeat or your footsteps. If you're not wearing your watch, you can't get any of that. And then I deliver that information to your watch. If you're using Active Site, all the data that's collected, it's going to be fed back to anybody in the world using that data, which will tell physicians key landmines and landmarks to notice, where to cut, where not to cut, how far your instrumentation is to a key organ. And it's that closed loop system, but working on everyone's system. We're technology agnostic. We work on every scope system that's out there right now, laparoscopic, arthroscopic technology, and we're working with the robotic companies as well. And it's been a really nice story, a great opportunity.
Yeah, and you've gone through some pretty substantial growth. You just moved into a new facility. Nice digs, I heard, down on the water.
Yeah, we got. No, I don't want to get the wrong impression that we have all this money, because in a way, people were moving out of Boston with the pandemic, and we were approached. We had great opportunities. We were looking outside. We needed a bigger space. We moved from about 4,000 square feet to about 16,000 square feet, but with the pandemic, they didn't want to lose med device technology. I would have chosen the Seaport if I had unlimited money to spend. And because of the opportunity we got to move in there and pay the price that we did now, we took advantage of it. We have a 4-year agreement, and I can tell you, Joe, it's great to be back. It's great to see the people. They're rejuvenated, they're energized, but there's nothing like going to give a fist bump to someone on the team that you haven't seen in a while, just say, hey, great job. And the team's performing well, and great energy when you can see everybody. So we're real excited about that.
And you've done a fantastic job of leading the team and managing a remote team in a super high-tech team where usually engineering has to be together and intimately engaged. So what were the things, and you've been a leader, gosh, you've been president of Olympus, president of Smith Nephew, right? You've ran large organizations. This is the first time you had to do it remotely. Lessons learned?
Well, lessons learned are, it's still about people. And when you sit there and you create a clear vision and everyone knows and sharing in the vision of the organization and understands their expectations, a lot can be done. We had engineers sitting in their apartments with a big scope tower demonstrating on video live how this active site works to an investor or to a doctor or to a surgeon. And that energy of coming into the office, grabbing scope towers, getting everything set up, bringing it to their homes. But we had teams, we followed the process. We never let more than a certain amount in the office at a time, but many of them wanted to be there. Kept them spread out, made sure we did the proper things. But I think the biggest lesson learned in coming from those big companies is when you're revenue dependent, boy, I actually think it may have been harder for many of those companies because revenue fuels everything. It feeds everything that you're doing. We had raised money. Thankfully, we raised a round during the pandemic. We're in the middle of one now, but we raised money to get us through 2020 without being a revenue generating organization. So we were prepared to do that anyway. I think the one thing that I realized, yes, the team can be successful remote, but at the end of the day, there's no personal development. I can't go grab someone, hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. Tell me what's happening. How's your family? What's going on? I'm not setting up a Zoom to do that. So it's really nice to see people again, and I think there's a natural energy. But the team performed absolutely outstanding because we really do have wonderful leaders in the organization.
You had mentioned you're raising a round, so where is that going to take us from and to? What can we expect over the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. So we received our FDA clearance for the active site image module in April. I know it's been a unique year with the FDA, but to be fair and honest, we submitted and we got our clearance. We had our pre-sub a year and a half ago and everything was done in 120 days. Team did a great job. FDA performed as they said they would to us. So we'll put that one to the side. And now it's going out and we're in the middle of a $40 million round. We're negotiating the final documents. We have our term sheet, we're all set. It's just putting the numbers together for the syndicate. We're blessed, we're honored. Our existing investors are still going to be part of this and they've been wonderfully supportive. This will take us out a minimum to January of 23. So it'll take us a minimum of 18 months. We're doing our US commercial launch, our European commercial launch, as well as continue to work on our data science with our Active Insights and our Active Edge platform as we're doing our cloud connectivity, continuing to fine tune the models and our data algorithms and working with that team. And now it's time we've had wonderful partners, resources, whether it's Microsoft, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and now it's continuing to work with them, but then bring some of those skills in-house and to continue to build as we go forward. And then depending on our distribution model, we'll see if the next round is needed, but I don't want to, since this is something that airs, I'm never going to back away for someone giving me, offering up the money for fundraising if it's for the right time and the right thing.
Sure. You've been involved in, well, early in your career, orthopedics, but later now, imaging and navigation and robotics. It's fair to say robotics. In the last, you've been at this helm now for three and a half years?
It's January of 2019.
Right, so you're coming up on 2.5 years. What has been the biggest change from your first day stepping into Active and the purview of the robotics, imaging, and navigation world in that short time?
Well, from the overall robotics of what I learned and what I've seen is it's really gone deep from hardware to software. And even at this course, I mean, a couple of years ago on the panel, that evening panel, it was really hardware heavy. And these are major, wonderful robotic companies, so there's no downside of that. You have to build the hardware. I think that the robotic companies that have succeeded are not just great hardware, but they understand devices. Those that have devices, before we get to software, have made a difference because they get the device landscape, whether it was Intuitive and the relationships in the past with some device manufacturers and the work that they've done, and other companies, which is why I think that the Medtronics and J&J and all these other companies are focusing on that will do well. But then the real move to software and AI, it's how do we make that robot do something? From robot-assisted surgery to can robot be driving or be complementary versus augment? It's not ever taking the surgeon out of the game. But I think that robotics, just like scopes, have the opportunity to do more than they're doing. When right now a robot sees what a physician sees, and the physician is driving the robot there. What if a robot can see what a physician can't see and then get to that spot? And then the physician's still guiding the surgery. So I think that's what's happening more and more, and we're seeing that more and more. And there's more players. I mean, there's more, the robots themselves are changing. Now price became an issue. There's mini bots, there's bigger robots, you're seeing some of the numbers that some of the robotic companies have received, whether it's big players, whether it's vascular robotics, or whether it's SPACs that just went on. Very exciting, good for the market, good for the space, but at the end of the day, you know, we'll see how it affects the patients and outcomes. And I'm excited by that, Joe, because we believe our technology works with robotics. And so the more success in robotics, the better. But the biggest change has been the shift towards software quickly and AI.
And that's exciting too, because you can scale that, you can upgrade very quickly, you can then take all this data and start to create more intelligence intraoperatively for the surgeon via the robot. So I agree with you, that's really exciting times. What else should we be keeping our eyes peeled for the rest of 2021 for you?
Well, 2021, now that we're back, you know, we're going to, you know, we'll get out and continue to do our U.S. commercial launch. We've completed our first 47 U.S. patients. Been very exciting. We've had some great thought leaders to make sure the technology is the right technology and doing the things that we say it's going to do. We feel really good about that. And then as we continue to get into Europe and we can start traveling, you know, our CE mark will happen in 2021 as we get to work with our European advisors and key institutions across Europe and start that process as well. And then, you know, I really think that the things that we're doing in surgery, we're going to make a difference. And the early feedback from our surgeons and from our administrators is this model works. It's easy to use. It's something that makes a difference. And you know, ultimately, I want to just reduce readmission rates, reduce negative outcomes that can be prevented. As we've talked, third leading cause of death in the world are preventable medical errors, of which 26% are preventable surgical errors. These aren't terminal patients. These are patients that are getting their gallbladder out, hysterectomy, urology procedure, all serious to the patient, and we never take light of that, but they shouldn't die from them. And so if we can make sure that we can just give the doctor some sight. And I think what you're going to see in 21 into 22 is I try to relate this to a football game. And if you watch football on television, you know, the yellow line that comes across the TV that shows first down marker. We want the players to see that first down marker when they're on the field. And that's what we want to do, the doctors. We want to, not just the people on TV, we want the game, when you're in the game, we want to give you that data. We want you to know the play that's coming up right when it's about to happen, because you set your defense right there and you're going to stop it. And that's really what we want to provide our doctors, and that's really the work that we've done with our partnerships and making sure that we provide this data. So it's an exciting end of the year. We're being cautious. We want to do this right. You get one chance to launch something like this. We're going to make it right and do it right.
That's awesome. Well, I love, you've always been super aggressive, but you're also never try and boil the ocean. I've watched that in your career. So I love to hear you starting out reasonable and solving a really hard problem in a patient population that once we get your device into the hands of these clinicians, I think there's a much faster scaling of this in many other sort of categories. So good for you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Joe. And and to be honest with you, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it's about the people.
Yeah.
I've said this 1,000 times. If you have great technology and average people, you never win. If you have good technology and superstars, you win a lot. If you have great technology and superstars, you always win. Yeah. So it's about the people, and you're going to see that a lot too. We're going to continue to ramp up now. We have great opportunities, things like this. You've been great to us. People want to come to Active Surgical, and we're excited about that. But we're not going to, scale too much. We're going to do it right, but we're going to be bringing in the best talent that's available and make sure that we let the superstars run, and then we win.
Awesome. Well,
so
good seeing you, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Joe Mullings from Houston, SDTS. Be well.